Hello, my name is Chris, and this is a full tutorial, full guide on how I create my pictures for Cyberpunk. I've been doing this for a couple of years now, and basically went from my first pictures, which is this, my very first playthrough, which I knew nothing about photography and anything. And this, I think I just discovered photo mode like halfway through the game. So I was like, yay, I get to start taking pictures. And then I look at other people's pictures and they are just fantastic. They have nice blurry depth of field. They're bright and gorgeous and stuff like that. And it's like, how the heck did they do this? So I've been studying it ever since. I've pestered some people and they gladly took their time to teach me. And so now I'm paying it forward, and hopefully this video will help you too. So just to keep this video under, 6,000 hours, I'm going to get into four of the main techniques I use, and that'll pretty well cover everything. So the first technique is a little hack I use for NVIDIA cards. I think AMD has something similar that basically upscales your image from 1440p, which is what my monitor size is, up to 4K or even 8K, just massive size images. So of course that means more pixels. That means much more detailed, much sharper, crisper images. So there's that. We'll also get into something called a lookup table or a LUT, and that changes the colors and the contrast in your game. So, of course, that'll affect your images as well. Get into a third-party tool called Reshade, which is what I use to create the depth of field, extra sharpness, extra filters, and stuff like that. And then the last thing I'll get into is lighting, which is probably 80% of this image. Unfortunately, I don't have a picture without lighting, but basically if I took this without any lighting, this would basically be all dark, similar to the first picture I took without any lighting. So it goes from that to this. So let's get right into it. The first tool I use is a little hack called DSR Factors from NVIDIA. And it's an upscaling technology where you can run your game at a far higher resolution than your monitor is capable of. So I was saying this is a 1440p monitor, but I play the game at 4K, and that's basically just to take pictures. So let's see how to activate this. You would go into your NVIDIA control panel right here. Open it up. Okay, manage 3D settings. See it right here. So this is it right here, DSR factors. I think it's off by default. So then I set this to 2.25. Your options might be a little different. And you'll know it's active if you go into your display settings. And my native resolution is right here, 2560 by 1440, but there's this new larger one called 3840 by 2160, which is 4K or pretty close to 4K. So that is because of the DSR factor used in NVIDIA. Now, if you do use this, you will take a performance hit because the game is actually playing at 4K or whatever you choose. But fortunately, NVIDIA has another solution for that. So let's go into the game, and we'll have to change another setting as well. Okay, so now we're in the game, and this is using the DSR factors. So this is actually 4K, but it's now shrunk down or downscaled to 1440p. The first thing you'll want to do, and this is even before you change that setting, is go into video, and it has to be full screen. If you put this into windowed mode, it'll actually become 4K, and so all these things will disappear, and you'll only see half your game, and it'll be pretty difficult to actually bring it back. Of course, because you can't see any more buttons to click, stuff like that. So make sure it's full screen before you do anything. The other thing, and I've been playing this game so long, I don't even know what the original settings were. Of course, I'm not going to go to the defaults, but DLSS Super Resolution does basically the same thing. It upscales your game and then downscales it again, but in a way that where you don't take a performance hit. So they use, special AI tools and stuff like that to do that. So this is the setting you would use. Transformer model would be the newest type, so I use that. And then this balanced or quality, play around with your own settings, whatever video card you have. Okay, so now let's go into the game. I had the sound off, so let's put it back on. Okay, and so you see at the top here, it says automatically applied Nova LUT to Vibrant, and this gets into my second tool. It's called a LUT, or a lookup table. What this does is it changes the entire color scheme of the game. So I have a special mod where I could switch between them. A bunch of stuff here that I got to find. Oh, here it is, LUT Inspector. Okay, so if I go back to vanilla, this is the actual game. So you can see there's more greens, slightly washed out colors, which is the cyberpunk aesthetic in the game. Works really well. But I now want to change it to, I got a whole bunch of different LUTs here. And it's basically files that you could download from Nexus mods, and I will get into how you can do that in a minute. But mine, the one I use right now, is Nova 2 Vibrant. So it gives it a almost vanilla feel, but less greens, a couple more whites. It's kind of hard to see that because it's nighttime, but it's personal preference, of course. That's what I like. If you've looked at those, super hyper realistic videos on YouTube, they use a combination of Nova and Reshade in order to do that. So again, LUT, it just changes the colors. Basically, it's the game looking up a special table and using certain values for colors. There's no performance hit. So if you have a potato computer, you can still use a LUT. It's all good. So to install one, press escape there. Go into Nexus mods. Actually, probably what's better is I have a spreadsheet with all my mods. A bit geeky that way. It keeps everything nice and organized. So if I scroll down here, I have a whole section on LUTs. So I used to use California LUT. It's a nice warm colors and stuff like that. I don't like using the base Nova because I find the colors are way too harsh with whites and stuff like that. And so I find the Vibrant one, currently using this, I find that a nice balance between whites and the vanilla game. So all you do is you just go there, and you have different types here. So SDR depends if you have an HDR or an SDR monitor. I have an SDR, older one. A whole bunch of different files here. So I am looking for Vibrant right here. Even though it says HDR, it still works on a SDR. So then you just download. And if you know how to mod, then you know how to do all this. But if you don't, super quick primer. You could use a mod manager called Vortex, or you could just do it manually. I always do it manually. What I do is I set up a shortcut to my actual Cyberpunk directory. So this is the actual game files right here. And if I go into downloads, I'll see it right here. It looks like I downloaded it twice. Okay, and you see an archive file here. You just drag and drop. You can see I already have it, so I won't redo it. Of course, I can't redo it anyway because I'm in the game. So I don't even know if it'll take, but that's as simple as that. And suddenly, when you go into your game, you'll see different colors and stuff like that. Of course, if you download more than one LUT file, I guess it's whichever is the first order is the one that'll activate. So that's why I use a special mod called the LUT Switcher. You could also download that. Then you can load up a whole bunch and on the fly have them look all different. So that's everything to do with LUTs. Let's get into the next one, and that is Reshade. So I will go into photo mode right now. All right, here we are. Because it's a third-party tool, you first have to download it. So go check that out. All you do is just type in Reshade, reshade.me, click download, and you want download with full add-on support because the add-on support gives you extra filters and stuff like that. Okay, so note that the full add-on support will get you banned in multiplayer games because there's certain filters that will allow you to cheat, but of course we're just using it for photo mode, so that's fine. Okay, and then you choose Cyberpunk. If you don't see it, then you just click Browse and look for your actual exe file. Click Next. DirectX, I'm guessing. What I always use. Okay, so you'll be presented with the screen to download filters because I already have Reshade. It just asked me to update. I'm not sure if this will work. Oh, this won't work because I'm actually in the game. So let's get out of the game first and then do this again. All right, we're out of the game, but before we actually install Reshade, we'll need a file to, like a custom file to install and load in. So when you open Reshade, you'll actually have all these settings already created for you. So fortunately, a whole bunch of people have created their own Reshade files. Mango's a really good one. Atronum, if I'm pronouncing that right, is a really good one too. There's a whole bunch of them. You can look in Nexus mods. Let's go to Mango's right now. And the neat thing about this person is they have great description on what Reshade is and how they use it. They even have a video here on how to install Reshade properly. So that's what I used when I was first using Reshade. Okay, so then you just download like you did your LUT file. I think I already downloaded it. Yeah, just downloaded it now. So what you would do is drag and drop, just like before. So I'm going to open my game files back up and my download folder. You click that. You have less sharpen and recommended. Then you have a README file which talks about everything. So if you want to look through that, use recommended. Okay, and bin. So you just go like this. Boom. Okay, and it looks like I already have it. So I know it's been a couple of years. Maybe it's been updated. So I'm going to do that anyway. And now we install Reshade. Okay, single player games only. Cyberpunk. Next. Next. And for you, it'll go straight to this screen on what you want to install. Another thing to do instead of what I had just done is you could actually browse for a file. It looks like the last thing I did was this one. So you could also do that. Click it, and it'll just select what that file is using. So that's another way to do it. You can see here, it's just selecting a couple of them. So I won't do that. Skip all that. Skip, and now I'm done. Okay, so now let's go back into the game. Okay, so now I'm back in the game. And when you first install Reshade, it'll ask you what hotkey you want to use to actually open it up. I think home is the default, so that's what I use. The home button, open it up. And if you did install Mango, that will actually be active when you're actually loading the game. So your screen and stuff like that will look different. So let's try to find Mango. Mango, there we go. Okay, select. All right, there you go. And you can see, obviously, you don't want to use it in the game. It's strictly for photo mode. So let's get out of that. Back to my no Reshade. And I'm trying to remember how many files you'll have when you first install Reshade. But what I did is, because all these files do have filters which affect the game, I created my own file which basically has no shaders in it. If that makes sense. So Reshade will always be active in your game, but I'll have no filters. So then I could play the game without a performance hit. So right now it's at 60 frames per second. When I'm in photo mode and I put Reshade on, sometimes it goes down to like 5 frames per second. There's so much processing power that it has to use. So to create your file that has no filters in it, which I have right now, just click here, inherit current preset. Let's do AAA, no filters. It might not work because nothing's actually selected. Oh, it did. It worked. Okay. So there you go. Okay, I'll get out of that. Let's get into photo mode. All right. Now, instead of going straight to Reshade, I'm going to talk about lighting, which is the last factor or element I use in my photography, and it'll actually be about 80% of your work. Of course, lighting is everything, and it's a constant learning process, constant creative process. It's affected by the lights in the game. You can create your own lights, different colors and stuff like that. So if you don't mod, um, Cyberpunk has their own built-in lights, which I don't use. I'll show what I use in a minute. Go like this, and then you could start to change things around, brightness, angles, stuff like that, different colors, so on and so forth. Turn that off. What I use is a combination of Charli, which is a mod, and appearance menu mod. So Charli is really good and really versatile in that you create your own spotlights, industrial lights, and light blockers and stuff like that. It's really, really cool. So let me turn on a spotlight. And you actually see the spotlight right here. You can turn it around, various angles, various colors, a whole bunch of stuff. So just go and experiment. And again, like I said, because this is 80% of your work, it's going to be a lot of fiddling around. So let's just fast forward most of this. All right, let's stop fast forwarding. So I've created 3 lights. Let me turn them on just so you know where they are. Okay, so I had one pointing this way, one pointing up, and then one pointing this way. So you can see that right here. And then of course you want to turn them off, so they're not actually in your photo. The actual light will still remain. Now it's starting to look a little decent, I think. And then also field of view, I find if the default is 60, if you scroll in too much, it distorts her face. That's just a field of view thing, so I put the field of view down. Especially for close-ups, put it way down. Let's say 33 would be good. Then you could scroll out a bit. And then maybe rotate it if you want a vertical image. Okay, but I'll just put this back for now. All right, so we have a little glinting on her face here. Nice little shimmers and stuff like that. Little reflections. I think it's looking pretty good so far. Okay, so those are the Charli lights. And then what I usually do, of course, it depends on the picture, is that I go into appearance menu mod and I use other lighting as well. And before Charli existed, I would basically just use these lights. But now I find Charli to be much more versatile, create better lighting overall. And these would be sort of like touch ups. So I use point light a lot. Press target, tools, open target tools. And now you can play around with it. This creates like really local sharp lights. It actually it'll actually show where it is as well. You could turn that off. So say I want maybe a little bit of a highlight on her hair or something like that, or maybe on her face. You just have to play around. Something like that. And then, of course, I'm going to turn it way down. Maybe just 4, 5, 3 even. And change the color as well. So you can see everything's changing. And maybe little blues here because it's nighttime. Something like that. Yeah. And sometimes in some pictures, I'll have like 10 of these with like teeny little, 3 or 4, or even 1 level of brilliance. Back here, target tools, open target tools. You can also do reset to player because right now the light source will be a couple feet in front of her. If you do reset to player, it'll be right on her. Do something like this. Light source there. Again, turn it way down. Just like that. And just keep playing around with it. So I can go on for, sometimes I spend like 20 to 40 minutes. I know some people that spend an hour just on one image. So obviously that will make this tutorial way too long. So let's stop it here. And now we have our lighting. So finally, when you're all satisfied with everything, go to Tools and disable Photo Mode Cursor. You don't want that in. And now we will go back into Reshade for the final result. Okay, so you click Home, and we were using Mango, I think that's what we installed. Let's try that. Okay, and you can see, okay, so this is happening, always happens on my GPU. I don't know if it'll happen on yours. I've heard from other people it happens to them as well. So what you do is you go to add-ons, make sure these two are checked, and then you look for the number with the largest draw calls. It'd be this one here, it's about 1700. Click that. That should stop that. And that was another bug that I've spent days and days trying to figure out. So now it's nice and stable. You can see it's really, really, the cinematic DOF is really pronounced here. So actually what I use is my own filter. This is really, really gorgeous the way it is. I will go to my own that I usually use, and that is default tint here. A little brighter, a little less depth of field. But you could see the huge difference that it's made with the reshade. Easiest thing to figure out is to first show what it looks like without reshade. So that's the picture without reshade. Start adding these. These are all filters. I'm not going to get into them. Good. Look at. Sharpen would be the big one. So right now it's a little soft, like this. You won't notice much of a difference until it's really slight, but I mean, you don't want it too much or else it's going to look too jagged, but it does help sharpen everything. There's even another one I think called Clarity. Also further, might be a bit too much. You can see the difference there. Yeah, I'll keep that. That looks pretty good too. And then what I'll do is activate the top. So now it's here. So that. Okay. But depth of field is a big one. I'll get into long-term exposure in a minute. So I'll get into it right now. So what you'll notice right now is these little fuzzy edges here, these little pixelation happening because it's the depth of field is sort of, I'm not sure how to describe it, but it sort of clashes with the foreground here and causes these effects. So if you take the picture as it stands right now, things will look a little jagged and a little pixelated. So what you want to do is soften it by having an exposure, which is what this is, realistic long-term exposure. And You have to do another hotkey to activate it. Mine is Shift F1. I have the show progress, and I have it set to, the longer it is, the softer it'll be. But of course, after a certain amount of time, it won't really make a difference. So I find 12 seconds to be a nice sweet spot. Okay, so now that's done. And as you see up here, my frames per second is dropped by half just because of all the processing power that goes into this. And there's some times where the game will actually crash because it's just using too much processing power. So the more filters you add, the heavier the workload. Okay, so let's press that. And now that key to create the exposure was Shift F1. So let's do that. Okay, and you could see that the pixelation in the hair will start to soften a bit. And those weird, jagged, fuzzy edges will be gone. So there is the final result. Press F12. That's my other hotkey. And I take the photos in using the reshade settings, not Steam or GOG or whatever you're using. The reshade, you can save it as a PNG, which is a slightly better image quality than a JPEG. So that's why I use that. So any little increments in improvements, I take advantage of. So that is the final result of the picture. And that is the whole tutorial I have for you. So we went into the DSR factors. We went into changing the color tables with the LUT. Talked about lighting, which is the biggest factor in your images. And then we finally finished the image using Reshade. So that is everything I have for you. And I hope you enjoyed this and you take that and create some awesome virtual photographs. All right. Thanks. Bye.